Better humans, let's get into it. Why is it that alternative health pros are so easily calling out the BS of the mainstream media, the narrative of the politicians, and all the fear mongering that you see? Why are they the first to question the vaccine? Why are they the first to see through all the nonsense and have become outspoken, even at the risk of their careers? I've been doing this early on since 2020. I was kind of picking my battles here and there because early on, I was trying to test the waters. What can I say? What can I not? It's still very emotionally charged. Now, we've pretty much fallen to two camps because that's what the internet does. That's what politics does. It divides. It polarizes. You're either pro this, pro that, pro whatever, or you're anti. And there's little nuance in the middle. And most people on either side don't really care about the nuance. I'm not going to talk about any of that. I'm going to just give you something that you should be thinking about. I eat mostly meat for my diet. I did carnivore all last year. We always try to prioritize giving our kids that are young, 1 and 3, steak and fish and things like that, animal-based products first. But if I were to go to the average doctor, they would tell me that I'm crazy, I'm ignoring the research, I'm potentially putting my kids' health at risk, blah, blah, blah. Bunch of fear-mongering BS. They would have me feed my kids sugar and grains and other processed foods. And they would tell me that I should be doing the same thing. Even though, look at me, I'm fit, I have abs, I have near perfect health. Same thing with my partner, Allison, and same thing with our beautiful boys. Now, the other thing I'm seeing, and one of the reasons that so many of the alternative health people are calling out the nonsense is because we are critical thinkers. We are first principles thinkers because we've been forced to. We have tried the standard American diet. We have tried to do what they told us to do and eat low fat and this and that. And then it destroyed our health, or it didn't get us to where we wanted to go, or it was in the way of our goals. And so we went inward. We did our own independent study and research. Then we tested for ourselves and we found what you could call nirvana. I found truth. I found truth through nutrition by understanding our ancestral past, by reading, studying, and testing for myself. And for as long as I'm eating food and then I'm doing the tests to check my minerals, my blood work and things like that, and I'm feeling freaking amazing and I have no health issues whatsoever, no piece of paper from someone that I don't know that was done in some lab somewhere maybe, or done on rats or whatever, or any study of other studies, which is epidemiology, which is even more horse shit. None of that has any bearing whatsoever on my life and my food choices and my health choices. And the same goes for gene therapies, vaccines, or anything like that. If I were to engage in those things and decide that I would want to use them, I would do rigorous study. My partner Allison did rigorous study. Before 2020, we decided not to vaccinate the boys. We also didn't even circumcise the boys because we looked into the history of it and just how barbaric it is and how a lot of it is rooted in like Kellogg, who believed that you should sew penises boys' clothes so they couldn't masturbate. Like just sick, cruel, disgusting, religious-based dogmas. Complete and utter crazy person was the founder of Kellogg's. Kellogg, whatever his name was. And he had a sanitarium where they did all this crazy shit. Like just look at the history of some things. Look at the history of pharmaceuticals. Look at the research around it. Read the books about it. Don't just go to your doctor and say, what should I do? What's the best thing? Doctors don't know what they're talking about a lot of the time. A lot of doctors use Google to figure out things. Doctors are in bed with pharma, whether they are on purpose and actively doing it because they like the money and the perks and like the free dinners and the free this or whatever, or they just are like, well, that's how it's done and all my colleagues do it, so whatever. Humans are selfish creatures. They're going to always do what's best for them. When you do anything that a government tells you should do, or tells you is the right thing, or the just thing, or the virtuous thing, or a doctor, or medical professional, or big pharma, or whatever it is, you should be very weary of the unforeseen risks you're taking on. Trusting the science is an oxymoron. Because you want to know what science is? Science is the scientific method. Science is not a destination. Science is an ongoing process. Now, anybody on the internet, anybody in the world that likes to promote the mainstream narrative that says things like trust the science, or that calls people anti-vaxxers or anti-this or whatever, any of these people could come in a room with me and we could talk about it. And they would have absolutely nothing to stand on as long as we were willing to have a civil conversation and answer strategic questions for a long enough period of time to basically debunk every single thing that they think. I truly believe that. You could even handpick a bunch of studies and we can go through them line by line. But that's not what Twitter is, the internet, YouTube, Instagram, and these places. These places are broadcast platforms and bickering mediums. They're not about rigorous debate or analysis. And the peer-reviewed research, you could say scam that it is at this point is just money and power and control and university funding and all this crap. It's just complete nonsense. The groupthink of scientists, I mean, this was observed back in the day. I think it was Karl Popper that said it. Or no, it was Planck. So it's Planck's law. Basically translates to science progresses one funeral at a time, because the current generation of scientists have to die out to make room for new ideas. And that's how scientific discovery actually happens. Think about that for a second. Planck's, at this point, considered a law named after Max Planck, I think his name was. Scientific progress progresses one funeral at a time. Should that not make you weary of trusting all the experts? All the experts agree, or scientists agree. It's the most scammy line there is in science. And it's been used for climate alarmism for a long time, which is a whole nother topic I want to get into. Anytime somebody says scientists agree or leading experts agree, they're full of shit. Period, full stop. Completely full of shit. Because even if they have a point in whatever they're saying, they're using a lie to try to sell it to you. It immediately means you can't trust them. Now, also, you shouldn't trust anybody. The idea that you're trusting somebody means you're giving up your agency to think for yourself. If you want truth, you have to do your own research. You have to go deep. And you have to go deep into the topics that are on the other side of what you want to believe, because your ego wants to believe certain things. Either you're afraid and you want to stay afraid because you want to think that a vaccine is going to save you and make you not have to be afraid, rather than doing the hard necessary work and then realizing that your immune system will do its thing if you just eat right and sleep and get sunlight. But you'd rather feel better that you can wear a mask, get some exogenous therapy injected into your arm, and then you don't have to work on your diet or get sleep or do any of those things, right? And unfortunately, that's what 50% of America right now. So it's no wonder that these completely destructive narratives around masks and vaccines and this and that, it's no wonder it's happening, because they're appealing to the lowest common denominator. And I'm sorry to say it, it is. The amount of just disgusting behavior I've seen of people saying that you should die if you're not taking a vaccine, or this, or it should be forced on you or whatever. It's absolutely disgusting. And I'm so happy that I have exercised my Second Amendment right. And I'm exercising my First Amendment right here, being able to say that. Because come at me, try to put something in my arm, see what happens. Now, that being said, I don't want conflict or violence. And I want all this to really stop, to be honest. I want all of the politicians and the big pharma, I want all of it to just go back to the way it was before, which was already broken, but it was at least less in our face with its brokenness. And I'll keep operating outside the system with Bitcoin and my passports and my life. And those that want to participate in the government machine and be plugged into the matrix, they can. That's their choice. But when you start telling me that I can't fly or do some of these other things, or I'm restricted in where I can go or not go, and my kids too, the longer that goes on, the closer we get to ahead. And I am a compassionate person. I don't even like killing the flies in my home. I mean, the flies, I guess the flies. I can kill the flies because they're freaking annoying. And they always seem to get in when we open the door. But I don't like seeing anything die. I don't like seeing any organism suffer. I remember when I was younger, I shot it was a bird. It was like I think it was a bird or a duck or something. It was across the water, and I had a pellet gun. I shot it, and it was like flapping around, struggling. And I felt like shit. Like even right now, I feel like I can tear up from that. But what I found is the flip side to very intense compassion is ruthless brutality. And I know it's in there. It's in everyone. It's human nature. Humans became the top of the food chain because we are the apex hunter, right? We mass slaughtered and made certain species go extinct. We have no problem killing other things. In fact, if you actually look at the history of mankind, there's no other species in the animal kingdom that we've observed that we know of, other than a couple ant species. These couple ant species actively go to war and they slaughter each other and they slaughter other ants, right? Humans are the only species we found that actively kills members of its own species the way it does. Nothing other than those ants even come close. So it's there, it's human nature. And what you find is the way to get to World War III or conflict or violence or revolution first starts with an ideological divide, which makes it us versus them. That's how it starts. And the politicians love this shit because what it does is it puts them right in the middle. They can appeal to one or more, whatever way they think it's swaying, and they can use it to get political clout and power. They love dividing people because then it makes it easy of who they should speak to and who's going to vote for them. And the more they can rile them up, the more they can, use their propaganda BS on a certain group of people that believe a certain thing, like pro-vaccine versus anti-vax or pro-mask versus anti-mask. The more they can do that, the more people tune into them. The more attention they get, the more power they get. This is politics 101. They know this. They've been doing it forever. And guess who else did it? Hitler did it to the Jews. You tell the public that the Jews are stealing jobs and they're the money people and they're putting people out of business and like they're usury, which is loans. So steal from them, break their buildings, basically chase them out. That's what we need to do. That's exactly what happened in Nazi Germany. Hitler, at first, all he wanted to do was get the Jews out of Germany. Hitler didn't plan on killing them all. Like, that's my understanding of reading The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. I haven't gotten deep enough into the book to find out like when that pivotal moment was transformed to go to like the final solution. I think they probably had problems with sending them somewhere else, probably border problems, or maybe no one else wanted to take them in Europe or whatever, because there's a lot of anti-Semitism in Europe. I mean, think about that a second. Like, that's just insanity to me. There probably wouldn't have been a Holocaust if there was a place near Germany where all the Jews could just go to. And Hitler would have just said, get on the train, get out of here. That's why we have to understand history. We have to really, really, really understand history, and then we have to understand human nature. So no matter where you fall out on the spectrum of liking vaccines, not masks, whatever, social distancing, none of that shit matters. The thing that matters is don't spew the divisive propaganda. Don't become a mouthing piece for these corrupt political pharmaceutical companies and government and political, just complete and utter power-hungry sociopathic clowns that want to infect your brain with propaganda. And they want to create a divide between you and someone else. Don't do that because it's going to destroy this country. It's going to lead to conflict. But also don't do that because it's quite likely that those freedom-loving people that don't buy into the Matrix, we're just better prepared for this. It is what it is. Now, I'll leave the country because I can do that. But there's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to do that. There's a lot of people that won't leave even if they could. I can't take that risk because I have kids. So I will leave. I don't want it to happen. I don't want anyone to die or suffer from any of this. But if it gets pushed that way, and this is just my opinion of I'm watching what's happening. If this keeps going on, it's going to lead to conflict. I don't want it to happen. This video is trying to make it not happen. But if it does, it's going to be bad. Like, nobody's going to win. And I'm not even really necessarily talking about like winning or not winning because everybody's going to lose. But some people are going to have an advantage over others. And either way, everyone's going to suffer. So yeah, let's just not have that happen. Don't tribalize and divide. Turn off the mainstream media. Turn off the news. Turn off politicians. Go outside. Get to know your neighbors. Interact in your community. And just watch how there isn't actually some deadly pandemic going on. Most people are friendly and well-adjusted. And they'll listen to your perspective. And they're not yelling and kicking and screaming at you or whatever. And they want to be free. They want you to be free. They want to raise their kids and go to work and do their thing just like you want to. And that's the way it's supposed to be. That's what America is founded on and why America has brought more prosperity to any other group of humans in the history of the known world. And if we don't uphold that, if we don't protect that, it will go away. And everybody's going to lose. A little bit sombering topic. I usually like talking about positive things. I like talking about growth and development. And every day I wake up, I'm just hoping the shit goes away. And it just seems like they keep trying. They're trying harder than ever because they know they're losing their power. And so what power does when it sees a threat to its power is it clamps down. It overreaches. It tries to get as much power as it can. That's what it's doing. The internet, now Bitcoin, censorship and all these things, they can try all they want, but they cannot stifle the truth. They cannot prevent me or you from thinking the things and seeing the truth and doing our own research. Better Human Newsletter, Colin.coach. That's it.